Hello, this is Gerardo Valero, and today I'd like to give you my overall opinion about the Godfather series. For starters, I believe part 1 to be the best movie in the whole trilogy, but the second section of part number 2, from the moment that Michael learns of the betrayal of Fredo until the very end of the movie, is where I believe we get to see Coppola at his most personal and very best, and thus that is my favorite section of the series. Every Godfather fan has a favorite moment in the trilogy. Mine clearly comes during the mother's funeral in part 2, in which Michael gives his forgiveness to Fredo. Just think, the cold-hearted brother embracing the heartbroken brother while giving the dirtiest glances and looks to his bodyguard standing in the back of the room. Now, a problem with a series like The Godfather is replacing the dying characters from one entry to the other. Just think, for example, in part 1 we lost the characters played by Brando and James Caan, and those who played Clemenza and Tessio. Now, replacing Clemenza wasn't as difficult as one would have thought back then, especially since the character of Frankie Pentangeli was unique enough, original enough, that he was able to fill those shoes rather nicely. Also, Robert De Niro had the talent and the looks to replace the character of Marlon Brando with very much success, which is curious because both actors at old age didn't really look alike at all. But in a summary, the characters of De Niro, played by De Niro, and Pacino and Duvall were more than able to carry the Godfather Part 2 without really missing anything from part number 1. Even though it was really great to see them at the end of that film in the reunion scene, sans Brando of course, in which all the characters get to be together for one last time. Now, replacing when we go from Godfather Part 2 into Part 3, we realize that replacing Clemenza and replacing Tom Hagen wasn't the same thing at all. From those two movies we lost the characters played by, of course, Robert De Niro and John Cazale, and Tom Hagen, which was really very sad because it was really an unnecessary problem to have. Now, if you add this to the casting of George Hamilton and Sofia Coppola, who didn't really feel like they belong in the same universe as those other Godfather characters that we came to know and love, and if you also realize that Francis Coppola wasn't really at his peak at the end of the 80s anymore, this is where you realize that The Godfather Part 3 really had no chance to be in the same level as the other two entries in the series. Anyway, to close this segment, we're going to propose another suggestion for Ebert's Little Movie Glossary, and this one's called Best Kept Off the Streets. And it has to do with the fact that every time a movie shows a police station or a courthouse in any kind of movie, you will always see that they have there 5 or 6 arrested hookers in any kind of movie or whatever, which tells you that the police are always arresting them. Anyway, I thank you very much for listening to this review, and until next time, el balcón está cerrado.